Hello viewers, welcome to program #Pakistan with Sidra Bukhari. Today we have a very special guest who is a visiting filmmaker from USA. Miss Izzy Chan is a storyteller and award-winning documentary maker. Miss Izzy Chan, welcome to Pakistan and APP Studios.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Glad to meet you too. This is your first visit to Pakistan and you are lucky enough to visit Gilgit, Baltistan, the jewel of Pakistan in your first visit. So what are your thoughts about this visit?
It's been amazing. There is so much beauty and diversity when I went to visit in GB. I really had the good fortune to meet a lot of folks because I went there as a cultural envoy where I got to teach students in Gilgit and in Hunza. So that means I get to spend a lot of time with these lovely young people and hear the stories that they want to tell. So I had an amazing time.
So what were your endeavors at Gilgit, Baltistan?
So I'm here as a cultural envoy with the American Film Showcase. So it's a cultural and arts exchange program that's funded by the U.S. State Department. And the whole intention is to share our knowledge, So I came here to share my documentary filmmaking skills with some of the students in Gilgit and in Hunza. And I'm also there to learn and hear their stories as well.
So would you like to share the concept, idea and content of your award-winning documentary?
Oh, you're talking about The Big Flip?
Yeah.
Yes, so that's my documentary, my feature documentary that focuses on families in America that have flipped the traditional gender roles. So the woman is the one that goes out and wins the bread, you might say, and the men stay home and take care of the kids. So I just wanted to explore the stories of these families because they are unusual and kind of new in America. And I wanted to capture the parts of their stories that are exciting, but also the parts of their stories that were challenging so that families that are living these roles could learn from each other.
Well, the content of your film shows that you have a keen observation of socio-cultural trends, behaviors of people. So would you like to share anything what you have noticed in Pakistan, the socio-cultural trends and behaviors?
I will say one thing that I was really touched by is how welcoming, like genuinely welcoming the people are here in Islamabad, yes, and especially in GB. People were very interested, like everywhere I went to, the cities like Hunza and Gilgit, but also out, when we traveled a little further out for some sightseeing, the people in the smaller surrounding areas were also very welcoming and loved getting to meet people. They were asking me where I'm from. They wanted to know about the places I'm from, and I find that very, very that is very heartening because sometimes when I travel, if we go into remote areas, there is this concern that they might be very closed off, right, to outsiders. I did not get that feeling here at all. People were very welcoming, very hospitable, and very interested and curious, very open-minded. So I really loved it.
So you have visited the most beautiful region of Pakistan, Gilgit-Baltistan. So would you like to say anything about the potential of tourism in Pakistan?
Oh, I think it's amazing. It was so beautiful there. When we were in the car and driving up, we spent a good number of time in the car. I kept staring out the window at the beautiful mountains, the beautiful scenery, the lakes. There were beautiful lakes everywhere. I think I really think more people should be visiting. I have to say I felt almost a little embarrassed I hadn't come here a little sooner because there are so many beautiful things to see.
What would you like to say about the image of Pakistan?
I think it's a beautiful country with a lot of different landscapes and lots of different people too. So I think it's a wonderful, I'll say it's a place to come visit if you want to get a view of Asia that you haven't had before.
That's great. So coming towards the professional side, would you like to share the process of documentary making? How do you make?
How do I make? Well, I tend to be a little bit more of an observational documentary filmmaker. So I usually go into something because I'm trying to learn and understand. So I like to watch people. I like to spend quite a bit of time with the subjects that I follow. So for instance, with the Big Flip, I followed the families that I was filming for almost 2 years in filming. Currently, I'm working on a documentary about matriarchal communities around the world, and I've spent a couple of years filming already, and I still plan to spend a few more years. So my process is about getting to really know the people and the communities they're from, and spending time to really see how their behaviors and choices change over time.
So how do you work with real-life non-actors for best performance?
I think the best way is to really just spend time. You have to invest the time. I sometimes, when I meet folks and they ask me what's the trick to get people to open up and tell you the intimate secrets of their life, my answer is often that there is no trick. It's about spending time. The more time you're willing to spend to get to know someone, that's when they are more willing to open up. If you're only going to go in and spend 2 hours with someone, there's only so much they're going to tell you.
How you see that the filmmaking trends have been changed in recent times? So what methods you use now?
Things have changed. Like in the very early days, it was film. So now it is digital, and it allows. I think what it has allowed me to do is actually be able to film a little bit more worry-freely, because I'm not worried about the cost of film to develop. Right now, I think the big change is the phones are really amazing. And even just the quality of the phone, sort of footage. Yes. So sometimes when I film, I even put aside my big cameras and just have the phone and have some apps on my phone so that I could use it, because the less obtrusive we are, the more we could blend into the background. I think people can relax more and just be themselves.
So many phone stars now, and
that's right.
We have TikTokers, we have YouTubers, very
yes.
best performers.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like to share any tips for upcoming filmmakers, like how to start their career and how to flourish in them?
I think it might seem like it's all about technology, since that's what we're looking at, the phones and whatnot. At the end of the day, though, it's about the people. So I think if you have stories from your community, from the people around you, those are the people you know best. So I would say start there. Start with the people around you and capture the stories that they have. I think that would be my beginning advice.
That's great. So what do you think, which topics Pakistani filmmakers must focus on to make films and documentaries?
I think it's not for me to say. It's really for them to, what are the stories that excites them? All right, like the last week in GB, just hearing the students there talk about the stories they want to tell have been so eye-opening to me. I learned so much. Like there are students who wanted to talk about the teachers they have, especially the female teachers that they have. There are students who want to talk about bringing the disabled into part of the community, and I thought that was an amazing idea. There were students who wanted to celebrate the local arts and craft because they don't want it to die out, and they want to look for ways to make it sustainable and have more people embrace the culture and the arts in their area. So there were so many stories, I think, from the locals that are amazing.
GB has 100% literacy rate.
I learned about that during this trip, and I was just so amazed. And they are very proud of that. And the students there, all are aware and are telling me about it. And I think that is an incredible accomplishment.
So have you seen the women empowerment there?
Yes, I have.
Those remote regions.
Yes, like some of the students, when they're talking, like some of the stories they want to tell, one of the students, she is the daughter of a female entrepreneur who benefited from some of the programs. And like you were saying, she's someone who did her own cooking, makes her own products, and now I think she has a restaurant at Eagle's Nest, one of the main restaurants, the tourist attraction there. So hearing all these amazing stories has been wonderful.
Would you like to tell us anything about Pakistani culture, the vibrancy of rich cultural heritage of Pakistan, and the foods and the dresses, anything?
Let's see, we talk a lot about how the beautiful landscape. I love the food. I was eating dodo soup, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
And chapchoro all
yeah,
over.
Chapchoro is an amazing food.
Yes, I loved that. So I was eating that everywhere. I also just love the local nuts and fruits. So we, around Skardu, I hiked around the organic forest, and then people were all telling me you need to go to the organic valley for the fruits. So I love eating all the natural fruits there, and I really did enjoy the local food.
You can get them fresh fruits, get the fresh fruits from the trees.
Yes, I saw all kinds of apple trees.
Cherries and apples, and right now there is apple season and apricot season there.
Yes, I come from the Pacific Northwest in America, and we're also the apples kind of capital, so I felt like, oh, it's kind of like home to see apple trees everywhere.
So recently you have trained some students at Gilgit, Baltistan. So what benefit you think you can take from your training, and what benefit you can take from them or Pakistan?
Let's see. Now I'm hoping that I taught them how to build their ideas into stories, and it was really amazing to see how they built their stories over 2 days, because it was a 2-day workshop. I learned so much. Like I mentioned, I learned about the literacy rate there. I'm like, I got to really understand more, because I think education is so important. So I think it's an incredible accomplishment, because it's a diverse landscape, right? It's not easy to go to school, and yet you have such high literacy rates there. So that I learned. I also learned the amazing sense of cultural pride of their cultural heritage that the students have, and I loved it. Like they all had different ideas that were about celebrating their local cultures. Yes. Someone talked about wanting to make a documentary about preserving the indigenous language that they have. So there's another one wanted to make a documentary that's about encouraging more local businesses to adopt the Hunza architectural style. And I'm like, there is so much pride in their culture. And I think there is a lot to be learned, because it's an interesting balance to have pride in your culture, yes, but at the same time, still be very hospitable and open about learning about other cultures.
And they are preserving their cultural heritage and traditions and everything connected to it.
Yes, and I think those two could exist together. You could have a lot of pride, and you could still be open and receptive to other people. And I love seeing that in action in GB.
So do you have any plan to collaborate with those people in your filmmaking, or any local filmmakers from there?
Well, specific plans not yet, but we're already in touch, like on Instagram. I was looking at their work. Some of them got my contact information. I think some of them said they're going to start making their film, the ideas they were developing. So I look forward to seeing how their projects develop.
So will you give them any support if they start any documentary or anything like this?
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I think they have amazing ideas. The people there have so much passion, so I definitely would do what I can to help them.
So do you have any plans to visit more cities in Pakistan, or you are only in Islamabad or GB?
For this trip, it's just GB and Islamabad. It's amazing. I really do want to come back. I want to bring my daughter to come see the place as well. I want to bring her to GB and meet some of the people that I got to know.
So would you like to share the idea of your award-winning film, like how it can be connected to Pakistani society, like the breadwinner moms and at-home dads, like in this thing?
Well, I think I wouldn't be so presumptuous to see what Pakistan could learn from it, but I think, I would love to have an opportunity during another visit to share that documentary and hear what people thought and how it relates to life here. I see a lot of strong working women, so I'm not sure about an actual flip, how common it is here, but I see a lot of strong working women. So it'll be very interesting to see how they relate to the film, because part of what the documentary talks about is sometimes it's hard being the one who works, but also feel like you have to be responsible for some of the home things. I would also love to hear how the men feel, because I feel sometimes men who take care of the home and who are caring don't get enough credit, like in America, right? So that's why I made the film, that a man who is a kind, loving father should be celebrated. And so I'd love to hear how that is going to be received here.
Well, this idea is not mostly welcomed in so many societies. Like if we see the Bollywood films, we see some negative things in there. If the woman is more empowered, she is earning well, the man sitting at home becomes egoistic and it becomes violent. So would you like to share your thoughts on this thing? There are certain cultural barriers.
Yes, I could see that. I think the important thing is for both husband and wife to contribute however is best. It really doesn't matter in the end who's the one making the money and who is the one staying at home. The most important thing is that the two work together to do the best for the children, to make sure that there's food on the table, to make sure that, you know, there is love. And so I think that is one of the things that I get people to understand, that it's not about pushing one or the other, but sometimes society shifts and it's easier for either one or the other to get a job, right? And sometimes it's the woman. And wouldn't it be nice if the woman get to take the job a little bit if she happens to be able to find the job? And then sometimes it's the man, and then you could flip back and let the man be the one earning. I think having that flexibility would make life
This is an amazing
easier.
idea that you are using your filmmaking tool for bringing positivity in the society.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's great. So would you like to give any message to Pakistani youth and upcoming filmmakers?
I saw so much talent when the last few days. So I think, you know, the only message I have is to keep doing what you're doing. I see amazing movies here. There are some that I can't wait to watch. I think Indus Blues, I met the filmmaker.
So you have seen the other Pakistani films? Or
I
short
have
films?
only seen a few
Indus
clips,
Blues.
but Indus Blues I really want to watch. I met the filmmaker last week.
That is amazing, and
yeah.
that is also picturized at Hunza and Gilgit, Baltistan.
Yes, and you know,
It's all about the Indus thing, like
so you
where
know
the
that one
Indus is
too.
going, and
Yes.
you have to capture that.
And I was so lucky when I was at GV. I got to stand by the Indus River, and I felt this sense of historical importance as I was standing there. But yeah, so I think the youth, the filmmakers here are talented. I won't be so presumptuous to give them advice other than I love the work that I've seen. I can't wait to watch more movies from here, and I think really that's what I have to say. Keep doing what you're doing.
So you are very positive about Pakistan. It's very good. So what message you would like to give to the world about Pakistan?
I think people really need to pay attention to the rich culture here that Pakistan has to offer. I think oftentimes, I can only speak for where I'm from. I'm from the west coast of America. I feel that there isn't enough airtime in the media on the rich culture here, the arts here, the beautiful landscape here. I think our media in America sometimes could be too one-sided, and I think it's time for them to pay attention to the many other stories that haven't been covered from Pakistan.
That's great. So which countries you have visited before as AFS envoy?
Let's see. The last one I went to a number of years ago was I have been to Ukraine. Last year I went to Malaysia. I've been to Egypt. I've also been to China. I think those are the main ones. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. But yes, the first one was Egypt. One of the most memorable ones was definitely Ukraine. And last year in Malaysia was a lot of fun too.
What difference you have seen in the cultures of Pakistan and other places?
Oh, every country is so different. I think I had the good fortune of visiting many different Muslims-centered countries, right? Malaysia, Egypt. The documentary I'm working on right now, one of the countries I've spent time on is Indonesia, which is also Muslim, a Muslim country. So I think this what I love is how intentional people are in a lot of these countries. I love the sound of the call to prayer. It's like you take time, like several times a day, to pause what you're doing, to remember what is important in life, that it's not just about the grind and it's not just about making money. I really appreciate that. We talk so much about living intentionally, being in the moment, and I feel like the natural rhythm of your religion calls, for people to stop, take a pause. What is really important in life? Let's remember that, and I think that's beautiful.
If you are given any chance to make a film on Pakistan, so which area you will choose?
Oh, that's hard. That's really hard. I think I'll have to visit more areas. I've only seen GB and Islamabad. So I feel like
still which subject you want to cover in Pakistan?
I think if I were ever to make a documentary here, I will want to collaborate with the local filmmakers because I think I don't know enough. And I think it would be presumptuous. So I think I will want to collaborate with some of the people I've met. Maybe there'll be more people I'll meet. I think that's how I will start.
Anything you want to add about this visit?
I had a great time. I think this is a beautiful country. The people are very, very cultured and thoughtful, and I am just so honored to be here.
You are always welcome to Pakistan. Thank you so much for this visit and this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Viewers, I hope you like the discussion and I wish that you get benefit from her ideas and experience. Stay tuned and keep watching APP TV.